enlightening discussions, and cutting-edge technical sessions. Today, we are turning our attention to the session on IP challenges and opportunities in the pharmaceutical industry. Each session will adhere to a structured flow, starting with a 3-minute introduction by the moderator. Panelists will then present their insights in 3 minutes each, amounting to 15 minutes. This will be followed by a 15-minute guided discussion featuring 3 to 4 focused questions. The session concludes with a 5-minute audience question-answer round, followed by 2 minutes of closing remarks. With 10 minutes of grace time built in, we are set for a rich and engaging discussion. Let's begin. The first session, that is IP challenges and opportunities in pharma industry, unpacks a pivotal role of IP in the pharmaceutical industry, covering patent protection, regulatory challenges, market dynamics, access to medicines, and will explore how innovation and collaboration align with legal frameworks to shape pharma's global impact. Our moderator, Ms. Sridevi Krishnan from Piramal Pharma Limited, is a gold medalist in LLM and LLB with Masters in Organic Chemistry. A certified patent and trademark agent, she has 20 plus years of experience leading global IP teams specializing in patent management, trademark registration, and legal opinions. Next, we have Mr. Avi Garg from Lexorbis. Mr. Garg is a gold medalist in Applied Chemistry, in Masters of Applied Chemistry. He is a registered patent agent and advocate enrolled with Bar Council of Delhi. With more than 17 years of experience, Sir's area of expertise involves pharmaceutical, petrochemical, and allied sciences. Finally, we welcome Mr. Raju Sharma from AMI Life Sciences Private. Currently, Sir is the head of IPR at AMI Life Sciences, and Mr. Sharma, with his vast experience from his previous roles in leading pharmaceutical companies, makes him a powerhouse of knowledge in IP management. Please, we welcome you all. I'm so sorry. Joining us next is also Mr. Florra Kedas, Legal Head, APAC Council and Compliance Officer at Carestream Dental. Ma'am has more than 20 years of experience across medical devices, FMCG and manufacturing, and she specializes in compliance governance, mergers and acquisitions, and data protection.
Everyone. Such a nice morning to be together here, and I hope at the end of this session there'll be a lot of takeaways for every one of you. So today's session, something very insightful about what kind of IP opportunities and challenges exist in the pharma industry. So when we talk about the pharma industry, it's basically we have 2 buckets, the innovators and the generics. So the session will be divided by the experts. Some will deal with the innovator IP opportunities and challenges, and some will deal with that of the generic. Again, in generic, there are again 2 buckets, the active pharmaceutical ingredients, the API, and the formulation. So there again, there will be a discussion insightful into both those domains as well. So with this, I think we start the session if everyone's ready. Okay. So I think when we talk about innovators, let's go for opportunities, something positive first. So Avi, my question to you is, what do you think are primarily, what do you think would be the opportunities that an innovator has, mainly if it is in the process of IP generation?
To my morning, everyone. Thank you, Sridevi, for this question. So, when we are talking of opportunities in terms of like what innovators can do, so I have some data in front of you. You can see that in research, if we talk of research, so in India stands at number 4 when we talk of the academic papers which we are publishing in an year. And when it comes to the citation, we came at rank 8. But when we talk of Global Innovation Index, we are at 39. So it means we have lots of potential in terms of research, which what we are doing, because we are publishing the number of papers, and we are like 1.3 billions of papers we are publishing every year. So it means the amount of research which we are doing, it is tremendous. But we are not converting that research into intellectual property. So there is ample scope which we have in terms of generating intellectual property. And the few factors which I think are this, that there may be some sort of lack of awareness. Maybe the inventors or the researchers who are doing research in this area, they are not aware what is patentable, what is non-patentable, and the mindset. Because they usually think of publishing a paper first, than going for a patent. So that role as an IP attorney and as an IP in-house counsel, everybody has to do to make the inventors aware about their rights. Because like they can go for paper publication, nobody's stopping them. But just that before doing that, they should file an application. Let's protect the right first. So we have the opportunities in that regard.
That's well said, Avi. But I would still say that I think innovators do a great job. After the drug substance patent, they take in drug formulation, they take polymorphs, they take so many patents, method of treatment patents, and it's sort of, they keep extending their term really well. I think that's a great opportunity for an innovator, because as long as you have innovation, you can always create IP. So innovation is the key. Basically, you need to keep working and keep moving. I think that's the main thing, and there will always be ample opportunities for them to recoup their costs, always. Having said that, there's one thing, you call it as a benefit or an opportunity. When you talk about the Hatch-Waxman Act of 1984, they gave two big benefits to the innovators. One was providing for the patent term extensions to recoup the costs of, when the FDA approval is delayed, so to just compensate that period. So that has been adopted in many of the countries, not in India, but it is there in US, Europe, several countries. So they have a patent term extension. In US, it's up to 5 years, subject to, of course, a 14-year marketing chance, exclusivity. So in EP also. So this is again one thing, and the other is the exclusivities that we've been talking about with respect to the NC, the ODE, legal exclusivity, even the 30-month stay which comes during the generic litigation to the ANDA holder. That's also a way of an exclusivity where the innovator only remains on the market. So these are also some opportunities from an innovator's perspective. Having talked about the patent linkage, maybe we can address that. What do you think about the patent linkage? Good, bad, good for India, bad for India? Your views on it, Avi?
So, patent linkage is actually a double-sworded sword. Because if we talk in terms of innovators, then of course they want patent linkage because that will give them an exclusive right, not only for the intellectual property, but also for the marketing of the product. Because if we link, as we have seen in FDA, US FDA, it is linked. Right, so they have linked drug approval with the patent rights. But in India, there are some judgments, if you have seen, that high courts they have categorically said that India, the country like India, it is something which is not required because we are basically a pharmacy to the world. Like we are the generic manufacturers, the number one generic manufacturer in the world. So in this atmosphere, if you talk me about innovators, I'll say that should be done because that will give you more strong rights and it is easy for you to enable your rights in India. But when we talk of from the point of view of the generic manufacturers, then this is something we need to stop. So I think we have to adopt a middle way, like something we have to do to control the rights of the innovators and also the generics. I think for that that provision of 107A, which is relevant for Indian scenario, in which you can actually generate the data to submit before a regulatory authority, but you cannot have any right over it. So I think something of that sort needs to be like the BULA provision I'm talking about.
BULA provision.
So BULA provision, the provisions like BULA are relevant for Indian scenario. So that's what the current stand of the cleaning is.
Good for innovators, bad for generics.
Yes.
And bad for the general culture as well, for the social economic.
Yeah, I can see that for the country like India, where we have lots of requirement of drugs at a reasonable price. So in that terms, if we talk, then we have to give a little more advantage to generics than innovators. But of course, we have to give respect to innovators for their research.
Okay. So then, Avi, what about the other side of the coin, the challenges that the innovators face?
So, if you talk of challenges, then in terms of patent, if I say, so basically I can see there are two major challenges. One is, especially I'm talking about the invention related to pharmaceutical. So, the basic two challenges which I can see is that the enablement requirement in the patent specification, and the other one is that non-patentable inventions, section 3D and 3E. So when you talk of enablement requirement, although we have guidelines in place for the examination of pharmaceutical applications, and that clearly says that you have to give one embodiment to enable your invention. The representative examples should be given, but the practice among the patent office is not very uniform in this regard. So some of the controllers, they are quite intelligent enough, they understand the concept and they allow inventions with that best representative examples. But I've seen many of the controllers, they are quite adamant, and they were saying that you have to enable all your compounds. So in a Marcus claim, I think it is very difficult to enable all the compounds. I think everybody will agree to me that in Marcus you have thousands of compounds and you cannot give technical data for all thousands of compounds. So the best approach is that we have to give a representative example, the best embodiments you should give, and patent office should understand that the same activity will be possessed by all the compounds because they have a basic point is common between all of them. So this is something which I believe little more aggression is required, because whenever, as an attorney, when I'm arguing the matter before the controller, I insist on this point. I always say that, okay, this is what I have given, this is what the guideline says, and there is no judgment which says that no, you have to give, you have to enable each and every compound. That is quite absurd. So that's how I think this is the first challenges I can foresee. The other one is the non-patentable invention. So for that, I think we have now more clarity on section 3D and 3E as the law has been getting mature day by day, and I think audience knows about 3D and 3E, so I need not address that in detail because that I think everybody knows what is the current scenario is.
To add to that, we actually, even when you look at a Marcus structure, there's so many, with all the permutations and combinations running into thousands of compounds, there could be some which are not novel also. So he has to be, the innovator, the patentee has to be careful, and he has to carefully exclude those compounds, again, from his claim. So that exclusion is also, he has to look at each and every, I think it's very difficult to imagine every possibility and then exclude those which are already known or per se or for some activity. So it's quite a job, right? It's quite a challenge for the innovator. Yeah. Okay, so we'll move to the generic side, and my question will be to Raju. So Raju, considering the API perspective, okay, from a generic perspective, what do you see as the challenges? Can we have the next slide?
You have that.
He is. Yes. Chetan?
Can we have that slide for API?
Yes.
Thanks Sridevi for addressing this question actually regarding API part. So as Avi has mentioned, that for innovators there are several opportunities and challenges will be there. But at the same time, what innovator is doing, innovator initially files a patent application protecting their invention. Say for example, particular compound is claimed, then 20 years of term is there for that patent. Apart from that, since there is a patent leakage in US and Europe, so the patent term extension will be applied, and accordingly, 25 years, innovator is getting that patent for at least 25 years. So now, actually, considering API point, there are several challenges. So nowadays, what innovator is doing, they are filing patent for a compound, that is by default they are going to file a patent for that compound. Second important thing is they are also filing a patent for like polymorph and extending the life of that product. And other part is like they are also claiming some impurities, and it is very difficult to come out from that impurities. So in short way, if I am saying that they are claiming compound, product per se they are claiming, second polymorphic form, then they are also claiming some impurities, and last one I will say some important process. Say for example, compound is chiral and they are filing a patent and very key step of resolution they will be claiming there. So that kind of patents are also coming, and like in one of the case for finerenone, dibenzoyl tartaric acid derivative was there. It was very difficult to come out to resolve using that particular other than that resolving agent, because they have claimed dibenzoyl tartaric acid and their derivative like R1 and R2 can be, there are several moieties were covered. So if you see here in serial number 1, finerenone, the Bayer has finerenone, and product patent expiry, if you consider patent term extension, it will be expiring in 2033. Now innovator also filed a polymorphic patent, and that will be expiring in 2035. Being generic formulator company, if I need to launch my product, so at least the first possible launch date will be product patent if I am circumventing other patents. Then in this case, say for example 2033 will be my launching date. So for launching that product, I need novel polymorphic form. Now polymorph plays very important role, because sometimes what happens, that compound will exist in most stable polymorphic form. In that case, R&D is having so many challenges. They are trying for several polymorphic form, but during stability that form will convert it into the most stable polymorphic form. If you see, finerenone is that case where R&D is trying. Say for example, we are also preparing finerenone, but we are ending up with most stable polymorphic form. So that is the challenge, how to overcome these kind of patents. Now, innovator has extended the life and they are enjoying at least 2 years. There is a gap of product patent and polymorph patent for at least 2 years, 1.9 years in this case. So this is the challenge. Second important, similar is for Vadadustat. Product patent will be expiring in March 2033 and polymorph patent will be expiring in 2034. Here also the most stable polymorphic form is form A here. So R&D is trying, they are getting some other polymorphic form based on the characteristic of XRPD and DSC. But when they are keeping it for stability, this form gets converted into other form. And sometimes when crystalline form is there, amorphous form, R&D is also trying, but amorphous get converted into the crystalline form. So that is the challenge. Now in that case, amorphous can be stabilized by like some other dispersion. By that method, they are adding some stabilizing agent. But challenge will be that they need to wait for 2 to 3 years at least for their stability, and they will end up with some conclusion. So this is the challenge for the R&D, what we should develop. And see, being API manufacturing company, your product should be ready, because formulator companies will be adopting your polymorphic form and that should be stable. So you have to generate several data and you have to conclude your product which is most stable, and you have to compare it with innovator's polymorphic form. Other cases you can see, tacoprazone is also similar case where product patent will be expiring in 2031 and polymorph will be expiring in 2036. Now people are trying for amorphous form, but amorphous forms require specific storage condition, but in that also you need to wait for at least 2 years to check, and at any time if your form is converting into crystalline form, you will be infringing this polymorphic form 2036. That Korean patent is there. This tacoprazone is approved in Korea and this is very nice product actually for Korea. Similarly for roxadustat where form A is present. Now in this case also novel polymorphic form is required, but form A is the most stable. So these are the challenges for R&D to form that polymorphic form. Last one I will say bempedoic acid. In bempedoic acid, innovator has a filed patent application which will be, product patent is there which will be expiring in December 2030. Very critical patent is there which is OB listed, which will be expiring in June 2040. It covers crystalline bempedoic acid with 0.0001% to less than or equal to 0.15% of diol impurity. Now if you look at the process, your diol formation will be there, So in your route of synthesis, diol will be formed. That diol you have to control. So the challenge is how to overcome from this kind of claims. So this is the actual challenge. So in short, if I am summarizing, product patent is obviously there. We have to take care of that product patent. Apart from that, polymorph patent, process patent, and impurity patent. These are the hurdles for the API companies. Yeah.
In fact, what happens is it's an opportunity if you're able to find a new polymorph, but at the same time you have a challenge to avoid other polymorphic patents. You have to avoid that, and that is something which even the generic will file. Right? Not only the innovator. So it becomes an open thing for everyone, right? And again, you may think you have a new polymorph and then in stability it goes back to the polymorph which is under a patent. And again, if you have even a visible impurity level of the polymorph that is under a patent, you are in trouble. So there are these kind of challenges. Yeah, Chetan, can you please change the slide?
You can give that opportunity.
Oh wait, I'll just complete it because this is relating to your talk. Can we have the next slide, please? Yes. So this is something which Chetan had, Raju had just talked about. He talked about new molecules, but I'm talking of an age-old product, trazodone, which actually the DS patent, drug substance patent, expired in 1985 itself. But the innovator took a patent which claims trazodone or the hydrochloride, which has got alkylating substances as impurity up to 15 ppm. Although it can be invalidated, right? This is something, the impurities are coming from the starting materials. So it's unavoidable. Everyone will have that impurity. And there is enough teaching in the EMEA guidelines that this patent actually should never have been granted. But it's there, and it is still there, and it's still live till 29. And quite a block. It's in the OB, it's listed in the Orange Book, and the innovator sues everyone on that, any ANDA on that, and ANDA holder, and they have then go into settlement mode. So I find that this is really a huge challenge because it gave them a period of 44 years extra over the original drug substance patent. Right? So it is something which is very much a challenge, visible there and remaining there on the Orange Book, and all of us know about it, but we don't want to invalidate, go into that expenditure mode. Also, it will open the invalidation, means it becomes a favor to all, everyone. So no one will want to do that either, right? So yeah, this was something interesting. Yes, further, let us go on to the, there's one more challenge which I wanted to also talk about, which is very much there of late, the nitrosamine challenge. So it is a challenge because you have to keep your nitrosamine levels below a certain limit, right? And it is seen in varenicline, this case, very famous, Chantix, the smoking cessation molecule, a drug. And it also opens opportunities because if you have a method to lower the nitrosamine level, you can go for patents, and which so many have done. Then it becomes challenge for the others to avoid those patents. So there are techniques to lower that, so that leads to IP, that's a good opportunity. And this challenge as such, so many lots have been withdrawn from the market, US market, because of this particular hindrance that started. In varenicline, Pfizer was the innovator, had to remove all their lots, and that gave a chance to Apotex. They brought in their Canadian quantities, batches. They sold it in the US. It was such an opportunity because there was a shortage at that time. So the challenge for one is an opportunity for another. Absolutely, right? Okay, so coming to the other side of the coin, like what would you claim to be the opportunities an API generic?
Considering opportunities, so can we have that slide again? We will take that case only, yeah, previous slide.
Previous slide,
Previous slide.
let me try.
So when there is a challenge, there will be definitely opportunities will be there, and for that we are there actually. Being R&D person and being IP person, we always have that opportunities and we have to crack it. Say for example, finerenone is the case where polymorphic form is there. Now, what are the other options that we can try so that actually we can circumvent this innovator's polymorphic patent. So first is you have to try for novel polymorphic form. But say for example R&D is coming and they are saying I have prepared so many, I have screened all the part of the polymorphism and I found some of the some other XRPD, like you can check with XRPD 2 theta values also, because that polymorph should not have that contamination with innovator's polymorphic form. So generally R&D is coming up with some new type kind of polymorphic form, but when they are keeping it for stability, it gets converted into polymorphic form. So if you are preparing novel polymorphic form, that will be your opportunity. Second other option is now, say for example, sometimes if your polymorphic form is not working, then you can adopt co-crystal options. So co-crystal now in USA, that is also acceptable as similar like polymorph only. So if you are preparing that co-crystal, generally what happens, co-crystal stabilize that particular API, and it will not only stabilize the particular API, it will also enhance the solubility. So if your product is having some solubility issue also, that can also be solved there. So co-crystal is other option. Last option is like you can switch salt, but now when you are switching to salt, say for example phenolalanine is there and you are preparing some other salt, it will comes under the 505B2. So formulator needs to do some extra study, but here also opportunity is there. So formulator company can actually formulate that particular salt which can be used for that formulation. So that these are the possible opportunities in this case. Say for example Vadadustat is there, here also most stable polymorphic form is form A. So either you can go for some co-crystal, and also when you are saying co-crystal, your that co-former should be pharmaceutically acceptable and it should not actually, whatever indication is that it should not affect that particular whatever treatment you are doing that for that particular. So being R&D person, you have to take care of that co-former also. Say for you are using some co-former which will be affecting that particular treatment, so you should avoid that kind of. So lot of screening is required for the co-crystal option also. And then if you are saying tegoprozole case also, here novel polymorphic form is required, but say for example R&D is saying no, we are not getting that polymorphic form. Here also you can try for co-crystal or some amorphous dispersion, that kind of thing is possible. Roxadustat also, so these are the actually molecules for which we have say for example phenolalanine, we have novel salt and amorphous dispersion. Being Avi Life Sciences we have developed. Vadadustat we have developed novel salt because polymorphic form was not possible. Tegoprozole we have amorphous form. We are the first company to sell this product in the territory of South Korea, where we are selling this amorphous form. Apart from this, we are also selling some salts in Korea. People are accepting salts also. Roxadustat, we have novel co-crystal, we have patent application for that. We have also developed novel co-crystal which is stable and giving good solubility. So these are the options. Like bempedoic acid, where there is a case of impurity. Say, innovator is very smart. They are filing patent application in such a way and protecting it 0.001% to 0.15% of diol impurity. If any R&D is trying for this product and that impurity is formed there, so first option they will try for invalidation. But as Sridevi has mentioned, it will have so many actual costing associated with that. And being API manufacturing company, say for example Avi Life Sciences is an API manufacturing company, we cannot go for invalidation for every case. So we should have novel options. So here actually if you show the absence of this bempedoic acid diol impurity, then there is an opportunity. Right? For that you need to have some novel process or some purification process by which you can remove this kind of impurities and you can file a patent application. And you can also have a claim in USA that bempedoic acid having absence of this impurity, that kind of thing. Because in USA you will be getting this kind of patent, but in India it is very difficult to get this kind of impurity patent, but you can go for process patent in that case in India.
Thanks Raju, that was really well collaborated, well detailed. And what I wanted to also say is that basically I think innovator or generic, what's important is innovation. You have to keep doing things, finding new forms, co-crystals, solvates. I mean, you have to keep finding something new, robust, stable, and which you can generate IP for, and that will help you. So basically that's it. Who can generate IP and leverage it well will be the winner there, right? So let's go on to the formulation part of it, and let us see some IP challenges and opportunities. maybe, can you please take the next slide, Chetan? The next and further, the fourth one. Okay, maybe I'll begin with the IP opportunities till he puts up the slide. Not this one, the previous one, Chetan. So in IP opportunities for formulators, I think first of all, the first to file opportunity, where you get a 180 days, you should target that. But nowadays, yes, there are lots of filers and they dilute the market so much it becomes difficult. So that's the challenge. So while FTF is an opportunity, the number of filers becomes the challenge. Again, when you look at CGT opportunities, competitive generic therapy, where there are no patents for that particular product and no ANDA filers. There are some, maybe they are complex or whatever reasons. That's a huge opportunity actually, where you get a 180-day exclusivity if you are able to do that. Right? So that is not going to be easy to prepare. You're not going to have an API source easily. So if you can do end-to-end, great opportunity. So I think these are some which I can think, and being non-infringing to an innovator's formulation is always better than trying an invalidation. If you can be innovative, be non-infringing, at the same time bioequivalent, that's the best. So the innovator will straight away remove those patents off from the litigation. You won't be sued on those during the paragraph 4 process in the US. Right? So that I think is an opportunity. I just wanted to look at this particular case. This is lurasidone and the patent portfolio, the way they managed it. Just look at that. So if you see the first patent with 20 to 50% pre-gelatinized starch, okay, so any generic to be non-infringing will try less than 20 mostly, or more than 50. Less than 20 is more feasible. So they'll go for 10, 15 like that. Then the next patent comes up later, much later in 2014, 10 to 50. So if somebody was doing 15, now they fall in the purview of that next patent. So there is an overlap and double patenting objection was raised, but then what the innovator did, they put in a terminal disclaimer. So although you have a terminal disclaimer, it doesn't extend the patent, but there is a challenge for a generic because he has to rework if he wants to be non-infringing, right? He has to rework and come out of 10 to 50 now. Maybe he'll come to 8, 7. And then the next patent comes where it is claimed if you have pre-gelatinized starch, you are infringing. They have not put any limits. So wise was those who, initially only removed pre-gelatinized starch, which was supposed to be a mandatory excipient and very much vital to the performance of that formulation. So any teaching like that, I mean, you should not go by that. You should try your own innovation and try to come out of PG starch completely, and then you survive this. So this was a very good example of how the portfolio was managed with respect to the time even. Right? Huge hindrance for a generic. You have to keep reworking. And reworking is a loss of cost which is lost. Right? So this is a very good example where a challenge was there by the innovator, and if a generic was able to overcome it, it was a huge opportunity. Anything you would like to add, Raj?
So in case of actually formulation part, so formulators generally, whenever they are trying for any molecule, say for example new molecule, so NC-1 date plays very important role. Say for example product is approved in 2025 right now, 2025, Jan 2025, and NC-1 will be 2029. So first to file, they have target date for their regulatory approval in India. So here actually if innovator is having that product, a polymorphic patent or same other impurity patent. Now formulation needs to start that product, but before they starting that product, they should have that API which is non-infringing. That is the first case. In that case, if that API is having some issue of polymorphic form, that will be a challenge. Second, impurity related things will be the challenge. So now, being API company, you have to develop that API to match this NC-1 date also. So how fast you are doing, that is also equally important. Second, when you are going to select that product, that is also equally important. Nowadays, people are starting their work in phase 3 only. But again, phase 3 will sometimes, that is like if that product is having some issue in that clinical trial, that is the risk. Yeah, so that kind of risk nowadays people are taking, and there are several companies who are waiting for approval. Say for example, once approval is done, then they are starting that strategy and they need to match that. So say for example, polymorphic patent is there. Then from day one only, first they need to go for polymorphic part, and meanwhile they will prepare route of synthesis. Sometimes what happens, route of synthesis will also have some concern, like very challenging phenylalanine. In that case, innovator has filed a patent which was related to resolution of that particular. Now, so many companies have already done some work actually for that resolution part. If you are starting your product very late, so some IP opportunities you have already missed that in that case. And sometimes in polymorphic part also, if that molecule is behaving in such a way that 3 to 5 polymorphic form is possible, say for example, in that case people will file patent. Now if you are starting very late, that will be challenge. So formulator part, if I am considering, API is very important. What kind of API that they are getting. So here all that problem should be resolved from initial stage only, and they should start with that particular molecule. That is the first.
Yes, actually.
Apart from that, you can
have to look out for, somewhere there's a drug shortage. You can use that opportunity to yourself, where you can launch without the patents coming in consideration. There's possibility, right? Then there is a compounding chances, like semaglutide, there was a compounding opportunity because there was a shortage. So this kind of opportunities will always come. To keep your eyes, ears open and watch out for these opportunities. Another thing is, in the litigation, you can always go into the joint defense group, and your invalidation strategy can be a common one. So you can come down on the costs.
Yes.
So this is also a good chance. I mean, if you want to work on invalidation,
Yes.
although non-infringing would be the right way. Yeah. So Florra, we have kept you quiet for a really long time. Apologies. And yes, with respect to, she's an expert with medical devices. So with respect to medical devices, where do you see the opportunities or challenges?
Thank you, Sridevi, for asking this question and having got an insight from our panelists regarding the technical session, more depth on the patents, and yes, the innovation is a key. So coming back on the opportunities and challenges for medical device, yes, innovation is the key, and IP, when we say, plays a bigger role. So I'll start on the challenges first and then coming back to the opportunities. So challenges, yes, the main is when we talk about IP, the regulatory compliance and the regulatory is a big challenge. Any company, whether it is on domestic or international company coming on board or wanting to start something new, so you need to take care of your regulatory part, get the licensing from the government and the ministry. So this becomes a challenge. You suddenly can't run your show. You need to pre-plan your things, when the documentation will come. And having said, all the challenges and notifications keep on changing on the government side down the lane. So that's a bigger fear factor for all the companies in India as well as those who are coming on board. The next comes on the quality control. Once you are looking into the regulatory part, the quality control also plays a bigger role on the QMS form. Then the supply chain disruptions. So these are the challenging factor comes on the IP, how you want to protect. You need to get a full research done on those things. So these are the few factors on the challenging. When I say opportunities, there are many vast opportunities coming on the medical device industry. Now, when I say the opportunities, yes, patent, IP, trademark, everything is really important. It plays a bigger role. Nowadays in medical device, since last few years, many trademarks have just got increased down the line. On the product, on the brand, on the value, on generic names, etc. Yes, the government has also come up with many production links schemes, for the manufacturing industries, on the research, so which is getting benefited to Indian companies also and the international companies on board. Many medical device parks have been incorporated in India, specifically in Telangana, Kerala, Hyderabad. So you get all PLI schemes, the financial supports, which is linked to your research and development centers, so that you can collaborate with institutions and API like Raju was talking about. So and the universities also. So many government universities also linked to these areas. Yes. opportunities are good. You need to be staying on those, and yes, collaborating with the government institutions, creating the market awareness, the market value is really a big thing. And yes, again, protecting your company plays a vital role, and protecting human rights. So if you come with any new product, like I'm specifically from manufacturing device industry from US, so we are coming up with an AI stuff software imagining. So before coming up with this new product, we need to take care of safeguarding the rights. So taking care of IP, protecting it, it's played a vital role, and not only for India, on the global level. So these are our hands-on area which we are putting forward. Thank you. Over to you.
That's a well put together. And I think, the way you take more IP, not just patents, especially for devices, like semaglutide, the pre-filled pen, it has a trademark Wegovy, it has a design application.
Design also, yes.
It has
copyright also.
So all that put together, it really makes a robust IP framework for you.
Because machinery, it comes in a whole picture. It's not only patent, the designs, the looks of it, how it functions, the trademark, with the colors, how you are highlighting those areas, what is your logo. So it's a whole big ball game to run the show.
The recent judgment which happened in December, or Teva, against Teva, that you can only list those device patents in the Orange Book which has got direct claim to the active ingredient. Otherwise, if it is just a component of the device, you cannot list it, and they ask them to delist a few. So that is maybe a challenge to the innovators now. They will have to look carefully before they list. Okay, so maybe while just ending the session, I'll put a general question to you all, which is the in thing, that how does AI and the pharma industry go? How do you look at the future of emerging trends in pharma with the development of AI? So Chetan, can you please?
So these days everybody is talking about AI. So how can pharma industry just skip not talking about AI? So we all know that AI cannot, because it's an artificial person, so it cannot be an inventor, it cannot be an applicant. So now the things as per the law is settled now. So now how we can use AI for the development in pharmaceutical industry. So let's focus on that. So these are the certain areas like drug discovery, lead optimization, clinical trial, product management. So all these areas we can utilize AI, because we all know that research in pharma sector, it's quite time consuming also, because we cannot have a good compound in just like fraction of few months. It may take some years also. So with this tool, we can actually use this tool to generate certain technical data, and the time which we save by using this tool, that time we can invest on doing further research. So that is what my point of view, that if we can utilize AI to generate such technical data which is otherwise required to be submitted in the specification to meet your enablement requirements, that particular time you can use by using AI, and that time you can do further research. So like this is what the study has said, that it could generate 60 billion to 110 billion a year in economic value for the pharma. And there is a projection by a study done by McKinsey. Chetan, can you show the next slide? So this is a projection, the expected value annually, that how AI is going to help pharma industry. So I think this is a great tool which all of us should use, especially the pharma industry, because that can really help us to get some good data in a shorter time period, so that we can have a more intellectual property generated by using this tool.
So we have a time up, right? So let me quickly summarize. Actually, we had a real good discussion on challenges and opportunities of both innovators and generics from both API and formulation perspective with medical devices. A real fruitful half an hour, I would say. And we have ended up with the future, AI. I still think that even now we use AI. In fact, we use it for structure, relationship with activity, right? And we can get all the kind of the values which will tell you whether this is going to have a good solubility, it's going to be a better, you can put in structure. So great work. Even your simple process chemistry can be defined. They can give you predicting the process reactions. So we are using AI actually already, but I don't know what will happen in future, whether AI will take over with great the mind of its own, they are saying, right? So let's cross the bridge when we reach it, right? So at the moment, everything's good, everything's fine. I think we can please, I encourage you to ask your questions, please. You've been a great audience. Thank you so much.
Avi, you have initiated indexing the IP, Indian IP, like a publication we are doing, I think something number 4,
Yes.
and there is an intellectual property which is 39, right? So I see one challenge in our intellectual property as a 39 is when we are saying, when our R&D do some research, and they come up with some novel, Sridevi for you also, they come up with some novel process. So you can patent product, you can patent process, polymorph is not possible in India. So when they come up with some novel process or otherwise, as you rightly say, there is some nitrosamine impurity and there is a reduction in nitrosamine impurity or something kind of impurity profiling kind of thing. They come up this. Now when we say that you have to patent it, so they say there are two options for them. Either they go for the publication because it's a very quick that they come into the domain, or they will keep a trade secret because they don't have any means to track others being infringed, right? So is there any mechanism where we can check that there is an infringement of our process in API or in formulation process patent, not the product?
Maybe I'll just try. There is a way, see, when you're doing, suppose you're reducing your nitrosamine content using certain chemical treatment. I don't want to define the methods, right? So suppose there are certain intermediates or impurities that will form in the process. That may be not an issue from a regulatory standpoint, but it is sufficient for you to detect that and realize that your process was used. You take your product and you do that analysis, and there are certain, only if your specific process and chemical treatment was used, you would get that. So it may not be a constraint from a regulatory perspective, but it is visible enough to show you that there's been infringement. There are ways to do it.
So that's the major point where I come to this, that the 39 ranking, the R&D itself doesn't want to file any patent kind of thing because delay in publication, we have a lot of delay. Though there is a expedite examination and expedite things, but there is definitely at IPO side there is a delay in publication. So that's why I think there is a 39 case of the
secrets.
Yeah, so they go for the trade secret.
There are a number of people who are leaving organizations and joining others, and see, nobody knows how much confidential you need to keep things, right?
Yeah.
So the word goes around actually. So trade secret is a risky thing.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add one thing into it, that you're absolutely correct, Smita, that that's why the people are going for the trade secret, and soon we will have a law because the bill is already there for the trade secrets. The one thing what I can tell you is that the publication delay, what I was saying. So once you file the patent application, that you have secured your date of priority. After that, you can go for whatever publication you want to do. So what I meant to say is that you can have your publication, research publication, which is 1.3 billion, that you can do. But before doing that, you can at least go to secure a priority for your invention. And that's what I meant to say, that that's why we can convert, we can go up in the letter in the GIO also.
Actually main hurdle is, and thing is, you have to train your R&D. So training of R&D is one of the challenge actually.
That's what I told, that the awareness is something which is required, And as an IP attorney, as an in-house counsel, it is our responsibility to make inventors aware about their rights and to make the process easy for them, because they have a different mindset because they are doing research. So they know how to write a paper, but they don't know how to write an IDF. So that thing we have to do. I think probably that is our role to do it as an attorney and as an in-house counsel. And probably I'm hopeful that we'll be able to achieve that one day.
As you've been mentioning, to rather take a priority on your invention. Many times, when people think that let us file a provisional application to take a priority, and provisional application is never in public domain, and it's not a prior art either. Therefore, is it possible that someone else files an application on the same subject matter? Will the provisional priority impact that? Because that is not in public domain.
You are taking time, right? You have your priority, right? As long as you have your provisional, you are prior to the other competitor who's come up with a patent. So you are.
Because that's not in public domain, and the guy, because it may get published early. The one who files later, he files with the Form 9, it gets published within 1 month. That it becomes in public domain. So which is in public domain first? Whether the priority application or the one which is filed later as a complete specification?
It's
a very complex matter. Because both can argue.
Sir, actually, publication is. Yeah, please.
Issue is not that. If you have filed a provisional and you are going to convert that provisional, you can convert that provisional to a complete specification. Your priority is detailed. It doesn't matter if somebody else has filed on claiming the same subject matter.
Yes.
But there is statistics to prove that a large section of provisionals do not get converted. In that case, you have nothing.
Yeah.
The second, that's how it works. I'm making sense.
Yeah, the publication doesn't matter. So if you have the date of priority, even if that publication.
It depends on case to case, I agree, this becomes an arguable. This is not a straightforward case. Instead, you have to argue a lot with the patent office. Maybe in fact that matter may get escalated to the court also. Because who files later is not aware that there is a priority on that, and he gets it published under Form 9, which is by submitting Form 9. His becomes unpriority. That becomes an arguable. It's not a straightforward case. Because he has all the right to argue, look, how come you're filing me when there is nothing in public domain at the time of my filing the application?
So that particular thing, I think there is a provision 13(1)(b), which says that in such scenario, when that earlier application was not published and you filed a second application, in that case, the first application, the claims of that application will be considered for the assessment of novelty.
So there is not a prior art.
How?
Because when somebody has to refuse an application, that is based on the prior art. That is based on the prior art. Legally also, though on record it is a priority, but legally it's not a prior art. Because it's not in public domain.
So whatever Anindya has
Not a prior art.
rightfully said, basically if there is a provisional and it remained a provisional and never converted to a complete,
Yeah, never
that is not existent.
Yeah, that's what I
The
mean.
one who came second with his application, he doesn't have anything in the priority prior art. So he is the first.
He's
first.
And a second, this is one thing which is a very complex matter, not easy to answer, and is arguable. The guy who files later
Happens
can
all the time.
escalate. My second question is product to process claim. There has been, I think, currently ongoing case between, I'm forgetting the name of the parties, one Indian party against India for infringement. It is a soluble carbohydrate product. They have claimed that product by specific process.
Product by process.
What is as per the Indian patent law, whether somebody makes the same product by using a different process, which is not within the scope of this claim of product by process claim. So how would you relate it as per Indian patent law, whether it's infringement or not infringement?
It's not infringement because the patent which was having a product by process, I believe there is a separate product patent already existent. That's the reason they have taken a product by process. The whole process is also there in claim 1. So when you're making a same product by a different process, you're not infringing.
But in US there has been some case studies where there has been case mentioned to Supreme Court level, where it's saying we are making the same product. Therefore, though all elements rule,
Yeah, all
they claim
elements.
under all elements rule, since elements, claim elements in respect of the process are not being practiced, do not be made. But there have been many case studies where somebody says, no, my product.
So, just one
I do not
point
know,
where we
because in Indian case
stand.
it is ongoing, there is no clarity as of today.
So nowadays
Still
what the
ongoing. Yes.
process vendors,
No clarity because
vendors are
one judge
doing.
has certainly said it's the same product, so you are infringing.
Yeah. Just for avoiding the all elements rule, nowadays what people are doing, API vendors particularly, they are taking each step in separate patents, so that everything is not there in one claim, so that people can, avoid something and come out of it. So they're taking stepwise separate patents, so that, you have. So this is a new trend.
No, whatever you are saying, separate patent, as a matter of fact, many people take product by process claim because product in some way has a prior product as such. Sorry, we can discuss later because of time scarcity. So these are the cases which we do come across, which does not have a clear answer.
Can I make one comment? Not on this. See, we were very gaga about the number of publications, okay? And you are also should be aware that the amount of publication which is getting retracted from Indian authors in the last 1 year is alarmingly high. See, the purpose of a publication and a patent is totally different. Most of the time, if you study those publications, they do not contain patentable matter. So no company, no organization would allow a patentable matter to be published and being in the public domain so that it's, it's a bandana for all. Nobody does that. So most of the publications are non-patentable subject. Thank you.
In fact, as a policy, when we allow publications only if it is not patentable. That's the first check. Is that I think? Okay, so we can continue discussions over lunch, post lunch. We are there here in the premises. So I think you're a wonderful audience. Thank you so much. And we have enjoyed it. It's good takeaways for you. Yeah. Please have a good day.
Thank you to our panelists as well as our moderator. I think it was quite a discussion on both challenges and opportunities. Now I request Ms. Sridevi to please facilitate our panelists. We'll start with Mr. Garg.